So you see, donkey.
Intro for your money, but
Yeah, I made it. I made
I saw you.
You had to just go and get like the donkey songs, and then just piece it together and all. You know what I'm making beats.
Let's have a vibe.
Yeah, I'm trying to do. Anyway,
Episode number 30.
number 20.
How you doing, brother?
Yeah, doing pretty well. I was listening to today's Sexy Sundays, and I coasting because we just the sexy days when I listen to all these sexy songs is like two fellas on the show. So I'm like, God damn it.
Forget my chapstick home.
Jen, yeah. I was feeling to come in like P Diddy today, like do the Harlem Shake. and
That name.
Yeah. She's a bad name there right now.
No, but oh God, I didn't mean it like that. I
If
mean,
you did it now,
Gosh,
that'll
that
make me
would
50.
no, but I told him like Puff. Okay, I do like Puff Daddy, not Puffy P Diddy. Puffy. This
Back
like
in the days, before you change your name.
Biggie was still alive. Why talking about? Rest in peace.
All right, so this evening we are no strangers to the cameras, no strangers to social media. Mr. Chris Marcus, welcome. And we also have Mr. Richard Daniel, right? So Chris, Richard, introduce yourself to the public, you know. We have some haters, so just beware. It was all good.
That is Tuesday for me.
Yeah, man,
He watched Street Fighter. You get her from Street Fighter.
It was just on Monday for him by himself.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, cool. So yeah, we'll start with Richard.
You want to take the mic first?
Yeah, you start with the microphone.
All right, well, I mean, if I should talk to myself, that might be a whole day conversation. But let me see if I can make it brief now.
Now we have some time.
Yeah, we have some time?
Yeah, man, you
What
got
kind of
to-
time we talking?
Yeah, well, the time, man. I ain't going to
Alright,
cut you off like all them
wait.
parliamentarians just do it. So
Well, all right. So Richard Daniel, most people know, Nissan sales executive, Masimoto's, right? So we deal with Nissan, Hyundai, MG, Subaru, the full works. I'm one of those who try to make my name synonymous with car sales on the whole. So from the time you're in your house and decide you want a car, the first name must pop up in your head as Richard Daniel. So that is the whole idea behind my content. I just want to take over the game, you know. I've always been a creative, always been an artist. My dad was an artist. He was a creative, and he just passed it on. Consider myself an alpha male. When I step into the place, I just take it over. That's just my personality. But very cool guy. You understand? We can sit down and talk shit whole day. That's how I get down. Right? I could probably leave it there for now, and as we go along, I might still slide in a little too. You know what I'm saying?
So okay, I had to ask the stupid question for the single mothers out there. You're seeking to be a stepfather or crap?
Nah.
Why you make that face for? I had to check for my single mothers. We love you, girls. We love you.
we wouldn't make
Pro-child
it with all
support
the
this week.
single mothers. We wouldn't have made it this far.
We wouldn't make it without
No.
being with single.
Big up the strong single women.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that
Big
far.
up.
Richard,
Nah,
that's a
listen.
stretch, eh? That's a stretch.
Let's
Let me
not
tell you
make-
something, bro.
Don't give them too much.
Any
There's my cat. There's my cat.
any woman raising a child by herself without a man house, you had to get you that respect, bro.
But
You had to get you that respect.
yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. For sure. Yeah.
By the way, the Nissan is a great vehicle. It's Nissan, right? Nissan is a great vehicle. If you're
Excellent
going to buy
vehicle.
one, buy it from Richard, especially if you're single and you know your man leave you. and that kind of thing.
Multiple children, families, and thing. Yeah. How it is.
I could give it so much stories about that.
Whoa.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
we'll go there just now.
All right. So Chris.
Yeah, thank you. Richard has actually made it very easy for me because I work at Massey Finance.
Okay.
And my job is to provide finance for his cars.
What are we talking about?
So anytime you're looking for a Massey vehicle and you want to get finance, then come to Massey Finance.
Big up yourself.
All right, cool. So all them ladies and them, they know this is money, man, or they are be on the best behavior,
So,
right?
okay, so what I'm trying to say is, I buy the bar and stuff. Them is okay. If I come across with the drink, is them is really buy the drink, so I could give it to you. So it's like them is like the big brothers for me now.
Yeah.
They're the big
The
OGs.
OGs in the game.
The OGs for
You
me.
consider me the best swing man.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's what he's
yeah,
talking about.
Yeah, man. So, gentlemen, we want to start off the show with a little philosophical thought, right? The question is really our question. It's not much of a thought. Are we really in charge of our thoughts, or are we being told what to think?
Wait, I didn't get to read the freaking thing. No.
Before we get into that question,
Yeah, right,
we have something to read, of course.
Right. Let me see. Where is it? Right. In a room full of passion and bookshelves, hee-haw, the only podcast with candles light them. Yo, ChatGPT is the worst at coming up with these shit. Stop using ChatGPT.
Yeah, no.
I wanted to have a nice little Like thing.
Take a deep breath.
You just had to
and-
proofread it.
He ho, the only podcast where candles light themselves. Okay, we will just take that one. I'm going next week will be better. Next week. Like 41
Walk with your bic. Right? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, those are big, right?
Oh, I thought that's what I watch. I didn't think you said big just now there. And I was like, hey, hey.
All right, so we're gonna get into the philosophical thought, right? This is gonna segue into a lot of different topics, but the question really is: are we in charge of our thoughts, or are we being told what to think? All right, in this, we can consider 2024. Are we being a little bit more thoughtful in our behavior as a community as a whole, generally as a country, or in your opinion, what do you think is actually happening?
Well, I believe it has some people who are not plugged into the matrix. Some of us do think outside the box. But all in all, if you check out social media, check out the news, you know what I'm saying, even the movies on Netflix, there's a reason why they call it programming, because that is exactly what it's doing. It's programming you, right? So you'll find yourself, it's like almost everything you're watching on Netflix have something to do with somebody being gay or something like that. It's like you almost don't even have a choice anymore to just ramming it down your throat. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you.
It's crazy that you just said that.
Uh-huh.
We're going again.
Yeah. So now let me make this clear. I have absolutely nothing against anybody's sexual preference. That is not even my business.
Okay.
I respect it as long as you respect mine. You understand? Because I'll have situations where, people try to force it on me, like, hey, ting, and it's like, I don't play for that team. You understand? And the minute you start to get...
All right, so we just glaze over something.
Yeah. When they say they're trying to force it on him.
Let me slow it down from
So, no, not like...
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
But it's almost
you
like...
get there with me, too.
It's almost like, like how Jehovah Witness might do it.
Oh, they come knocking on your door.
Yeah. And just try to hand it the watchtower now, even if you don't want it.
Yeah.
You know?
So gay men is like the Jehovah's Witness of the sexual spectrum is what you say.
You know? But, and like I say, it's not respect, but just respect my preference.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? And the LGBTQ, the whole alphabet, they were really formed to make sure that you don't bully them. But now all of a sudden it seems like they are the bullies now. So, it's all about respect. You respect me, I respect you. But it's all about programming. Yeah. So nobody now is really thinking for themselves if they're taking the programming. But it has some of us who are unplugged from the matrix.
And
you know what I'm saying?
Thought,
Yeah. And I would like to think that I'm one of those because I love thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you pay attention to my content, you follow my videos, you'll realize all my stuff is original because I come up with my own shit. Me watching nobody else thing and say, well, all right, I go and try that. And even if it was inspired by you, I put the Richie Rich touch on it.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Okay.
So I'll find a way how to personalize it, and you still like you can watch that video and I not be in it, and you'll be like, yeah, that's a Richie Rich production.
So a signature is what you basically have because I independent thought.
You understand what I'm saying?
Cool. No problem.
But I believe a lot of us are being programmed by like the news, the media, social media, all these things.
All right. So this is just the segue, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to Mr. Marcus going on. Wait, that's a familiar.
Yeah, no, Mr. Marcus is our porn guy.
All right. Yeah.
When I say any kid of a porn, Mr. Marcus is like...
Yes, but it's purely business.
He kind of look like him too, eh?
Whoa! Hey, let me pull this up right now. I don't remember what the guys look like.
Show the camera. I know the hot dude, by?
Hey, Mr. Marcus is when we was teenagers, kind of. That's how old we talking about.
Yeah. Man,
I think it was a buff, baldhead guy,
A buff man.
Yeah.
In relation.
I've here and I am buffed.
The man never
That's it, man.
Yeah. That is thinking outside the box. Yeah. Don't fight it.
Just for like,
Got to be
he went down next man.
You know, that's the same guy, but I mean, oh gosh, one picture. You have to check the catalog.
That was when he was trying to reinvent himself.
Yeah. So that's what it's doing before finance, I understand. It paid well. It paid well.
Yeah.
It didn't.
They say pimping ain't easy, but it sure is fun.
It's fun, right? So Chris Richard alluded to the Matrix just now, right? Generally speaking, we are staunch believers in the fact that there are a lot of program people in the world, All right. In terms of finance, because you're a finance bro and all that, we want to basically get a gist of where you see financial responsibility as a skill in this country.
Before I answer that question, I want to take a shot at that question you asked Richard because I
Definitely.
have a slightly different view.
Ah.
I actually believe that people tend to want to think about what interests them. Whatever any human being finds themselves gravitating to, they will find a way to find as much information on it as possible. They may want to have as many conversations as possible. Saying that is the matrix and is the external environment, yes, but we have control over these things. What you put in, what you look at on television, what you read, that's your personal decision. So it's one thing for people to say that they have the matrix and these external forces, but when you really think about it, you have control over those things. When I'm on Facebook and I see some things and I see some posts and any comments and stuff, I just scroll past because it really doesn't make any sense trying to engage people who have different backgrounds, different experiences, different perspectives, different agendas, to try to get them to understand something basic in a social media scenario.
Right.
Posts and some comments and those things. So it's very easy for people to get pulled into that, where they know is the environment. Yes, it's there, it's much more prevalent now, but at the same time, you have control and you have the ability to filter what you choose to focus on. There are many people who say they want to get rich, but doing what? They want to be happy, but doing what? So, I mean, I will stop there, but I will say that the whole thing about people being influenced by the external environment and the matrix, I ain't so sure I want to say, I have so little control over it. You always have control.
What about like
Between me and you,
what about churn?
it seemed like he said the same thing differently.
What about like churn?
He said the same thing differently. So yes, you have control, and those are those who are unplugged from the
Right.
matrix, like I was saying. And you're talking about options, but we don't have much options.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So you're scrolling through, and almost everything is the same.
Because-
almost everything is the same. But it's up to you, as you rightfully say, to filter. But not everybody will be the filtering. So that's just those who unplug.
Because often we say, right, this show is not really targeted or tailored to people who don't have intellectual capacity, right? So somebody who doesn't have that intellectual capacity scrolling and end up on the Hee Haw podcast, they might see the name and then start listening to the conversation and be like, well, what is this?
That was what I was expecting.
That is not what I was looking for. So it wouldn't probably be as popular among the less intellectually stimulated people.
Low IQ.
Right, but I didn't want to bash them like that. But it's good. Yeah, but I agree with you with the both earlier because at the same time, in the words of the late great Basdio Pandey, right? God bless the dead. Right, he was basically.
I thought he was going to say ask your mother. I thought that was the line he was going to quote. Ask your mother.
That's when he was.
Pandey.
That was Jacques Warner.
That was Jacques Warner.
No, that was Pandey too.
You sure what?
Pandey had one when he was like he was being interviewed somewhere.
Hey,
anyway,
we was
fellas-
cheering in.
He was cheering too. So my memory.
Them was done paying mortgage and thing.
I was already buying drinks in the bar.
By interest.
All right, cool. Yeah, so Basio Pandey was basically paraphrasing here, and he was saying that the issue with our country is that our education system was failing us. All right, is because due to the fact that our education system was grooming us to be clerks. You remember that interview, right? And it really struck a chord recently when he passed, because of course all the footage with Basio Pandey was start coming back up all through the internet, right?
Right, yeah.
And I saw that interview and it kind of like it teleported to now. Thinking about if Basio Pandey was a politician in this current age or era, would he have said the same thing? And I'm not trying to be polemic about it or anything, but that sentiment echoed to this day or repeated to this day now, and make you think that was today's date is the product of what was happening in yesterday. So when he was complaining about that, this is the result of what he was complaining about today. We've seen it in real time. What the education system has done in terms of the violence in the country, in terms of the masculinity in the country, in terms of our style of leadership, the type of people that we actually trying to produce our product as a Trinidadian. Yes, I'm proud to say I'm a Trinidadian, but I am not very proud of what we represent. Because we represent a real lackluster, mediocre. we really try to be better than just generally, yeah, well, I could do this and that is that, right? So, segueing into the whole conversation of being masculine, right? I know you didn't answer the question yet, but you'll get there, right? Masculinity means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But this being he or show, we really targeting young men. Men who looking for some sort of example, and the example seems to be absent.
Oh, cisgendered men. We gotta make it
For the
cisgendered.
ones are the alphabet people and then
Yeah,
cisgendered,
men, heterosexual men. Yeah.
Yeah. You're really trying to talk to the weirdos, but
Whoa.
yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
So, masculinity, right? We will start with Chris. What is masculinity in a nutshell? A quick synopsis, right? Mean to you?
Taking control of who you are as a man. Understanding who you are, understand what you want out of this life. I don't think anybody can tell you how to be a man. In fact, you can be taught, you can look at examples, you can have your father figures. For many people, it's the guys on the block, whoever it is. But ultimately, you have to ask yourself that question. And I'm glad you raised this one because around when I was 15 or 16, looking around at you see, okay, you live with your parents, you're at school. But then 15 becomes 16, 16 becomes 17 before you know it, you're 21. And I asked myself, after I leave my mother and father house, who going to handle my business? I'd handle my business. I make up my mind I was going to make something of myself no matter what happened.
This was pre-oil boom or post-oil boom?
Post, I mean,
I don't know what is happening.
oh,
I don't know. So I asked. Because it's something like Trinidad was doing well at this point. in time.
at this point, actually, no. At the point in time I'm talking about Trinidad and Tobago had just gone into the recession. All right, we're talking about the 1980s here.
Okay.
We're talking about when it is the oil dollars had dried up and A&R Robinson was was emerging and that period.
Okay.
And at that point in time, we had much less as a society, but we lived better. I think everybody recognized that in that particular era, we had to sacrifice and suffer together.
This was Barney Berry, Trinidad, right?
Correct. Everybody saw the global prices, the oil prices coming down. We were in such a gas economy as yet at that point in time. And it was it was a time when we had to really take a look at ourselves as individuals, families, our country, and where we were going. And a lot of tough decisions were made in those times as far as leadership was concerned that at the time, the leadership was chastised for. But decades afterwards, when you take a look back, those are some of the best decisions that could have been made for the country. We don't like to sacrifice, huh?
No.
We will talk sacrifice in here, but I will say, yes, you sacrifice, and you will say, you sacrifice, and you say, I sacrifice, and nobody sacrifices. And before you know it, it's a blame game. Who do it? The politicians, is this, is that. And when you think about what we have to do to go forward, is only Trinidad can fix Trinidad. Huh? But going back to your masculinity question and being a man, you have to be able to take control of your destiny one way or the other. Whatever outcome you choose, you have to say, listen, I am prepared to make these decisions and I'm prepared to bear the consequences, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
So you don't believe in predestination?
No. Well,
That's because you understand what
I
you
believe
have to-
my personal spiritual belief is that our stories have already been written. We just haven't seen it as yet. The only entity who knows our story is God.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Those of us who choose to go and look for fortune tellers, that's their business. But the whole idea of life is really about understanding the journey, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how you respond to it. We are resilient people at the same time. Huh?
Of course.
So
Hands on.
the key thing is understanding first and foremost as a man, and it goes beyond man. Huh? Women who are handling single mothers, as you would have spoken to, they have their role in regard to taking care of the circumstances where they are single parents. And I don't want to make it specific to any gender. There are men doing the same thing. And some people speak about it, some people speak more about it, some people speak less about it. But whoever it is, single parent scenarios, they know what they have to do. And once they put their focus on their family first, I mean, it tends to come and they make the decisions all in the interest of the family.
Understood.
Scoot a little bit to the left, pal, yeah. Now, watching. Yeah, because they're making good points, and I know what the AI think is he said. I don't want to get nobody unjust.
Yeah, real deceitful too.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Then there's the philosophical and the biblical aspect of things. God has made men physically stronger.
Oh. You want to get in trouble with the girls for this one, eh?
Careful now.
I have no difficulty defending that.
Okay, all right.
They have made women on the more soft side, women on the nurturing side of things, and women are supposed to be the leaders and the protectors. If you talk to any woman in a relationship, the majority of them will say one of the things that they love about a man is that he makes them feel safe. And that is part of the masculinity conversation, being able to be that protector. And protector takes different dimensions. It's just the physical, but taking care of a woman because you want to. You have men who they're quietly cooking for the woman, keeping quiet and telling the boys nothing, and the women they're quietly saying, you see me, all the kids what they want. I know I have at home.
No, it's a man who listening to your show
And they
can't
keep
tell their
in
wife
quiet.
that they're listening to the show.
And they keep in quiet.
They come in and say that.
Hey.
No.
You do not. You dig anything? Yeah. Tell them girls off. Tell them girls.
Tell them.
So wait now, but no. Speaking from these, you talking from a point of a married guy.
I'm talking about a man. Whether you're married, whether you're single.
No, it's so
talking
the
about-
reason I say that is so women, you understand what we're talking about there, right? You drive a Nissan car too. If you want the link, message me. Go on the Patreon.
Right. So, moving on to Mr. Richard here now. Rich. All right, cool. So, masculinity. Where does your thought,
Because he's out for me.
where your thoughts lie?
I'll be real with
Example.
you. When you asked the question, my mind started to go a million different places at once because to me, there's no one answer for that. All right? Now, these days, I try to be a little more spiritual because I had my whorish days.
Whoa.
Right? Trying to be a little more spiritual. I try to, put my life on a different path. But I came from old school parenting.
Right.
Right?
Both parents?
Both parents, all right? Where my dad was protector, provider, you know what I'm saying? And my grandfather was the same on both sides, on my mother's side and my father's side.
Okay.
Right? So what a lot of people don't know about me is my dad, his parents, my grandmother, pure Indian from Guyana.
Okay.
All right? My grandfather, pure Chinese from China. Right? Couldn't even talk English when he got here. But when he got here, he was about that life. He started the Chinese restaurants, you know what I'm saying? So,
Okay.
he was protector, provider, everything. Right? My dad took after him. I took after my dad because I had these examples in my life. Right? And I say that to kind of dance around to, the single mothers. Like, I would blame some men for not trying to be part of their children's life, especially their sons, because a woman carries a man. You understand what I'm saying? And I think it's because we have so much sensitive, emotional men now. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we in the sensitive cancel culture. Everybody easily offended. You know what I'm saying? A man get horny, ready to kill a girl.
Well,
If you understand what I'm saying? All these is emotional decisions. At a point in time, men were the more logical one and women were the more emotional ones.
Right.
But when you have a woman raising a man and a man never had an example of what a man's supposed to be, they tend to make a lot of emotional decisions which don't always pan out to be the right decision at the time. Right? Now, like I see my father, he used to real hustle. Right? He drive Maxi. He went and do a lot of offshore courses and then started doing the offshore thing. But growing up, right? I was living in a house so old, if you walk too hard, you would go through the floor. It had weeks we weren't eating until he stepped up. You know what I'm saying? And, from that point, watching my father transition, right? The man, as time go along, he roll with the punches, he get hit, he fall down, he get back up, he dust himself off, and he go again. You understand? This plan didn't work, he go back to the drawing board and he try something different. And I watching this growing up. And I was like, yeah, to me, this is what a man's supposed to be. This is what I want to be like. My father was my hero. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
So when it was my turn to start adulting, right? Me being the out-of-the-box thinker like my dad, if I try something and it didn't work, I ain't gonna be like, you go down the depression, emotional rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, this didn't work. What we going to do? Like, you start thinking solutions. And to me, that's what that's what masculinity is all about. You had to be tough. You had to be ready to protect, ready to provide. But at the same time, be gentle for when you had to be gentle. Because, the women love the tough men, but at some point, they want the little cuddles, they want the little... So there's a lot of emotional intelligence involved. But as a man, you had to be everything. You understand what I'm saying? So
sure.
it's kind of hard to tag masculinity. It's like, as a man, you had to be everything. And they're watching you for everything. Because you had to be the head of the home. You're the leader.
Hands down.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So once you have that emotional intelligence, that resilience, ready to accept responsibility, all these things are characteristics of a man that defines masculinity to me.
Excellently put, my friend. Excellently put. Question though, because we touched on the whole single mother
Epidemic.
It's an epidemic, right? We have a lot more single mothers in Trinidad and Tobago than we would like. The obvious fallout from that is a more violent society, because we have less men in the household being around to control a growing population of boys. And that causes a lot of backlash for our society. As we could see now, you mentioned the sensitivity among men. That had to come from somewhere.
Correct.
Right? The lack of an example in the household, the lack of an example countrywide. Long time you would even have a coach in the community.
Yeah.
True.
Who was everybody's father. Right? That don't exist anymore. And it's not like we're trying to find the remedy to say, well, we had to do this to get back there. But we had to deal with the circumstances as they are right now, right? And generally speaking, young men, it's easy to tell them you have to be resilient, you have to be strong, you have to be able to take blows and stand up again. But in practicality, when shit hit the fan and the bullet zipping past your ears, that is something that you just had to actually acquire and learn. All right? So it's a catch-22. It's a circular argument. It's the snake that eats its tail, right?
Ouroboros serpent.
The Ouroboros serpent, right? What you're really seeing here is now, all right, a woman and a man end up in whatever the situation they end up in. Children born. The man take his leave, the woman doing what she had to do. Sometimes vice versa. All right? At that stage, the blame game makes no sense. At that stage, the man is a deadbeat, but he had his children here. All right? At that stage, we have the authorities now basically looking at the situation from a cookie islands and saying that finances is everything and take the man off of finances. But I just went on a little rampage here because I grew up in a single parent, lack of a father in a household, right? Thank God for the male role models I had in my life. But at the same time, looking at it from the inside, the issues that we really face is not a financial issue. I'll do it to Chris here, right? When we didn't have as much resources as a country, we did a little bit better. It's not really about finances. It's not about taking him on to court to make sure he pay child support. It's really about forcing him to be there in a way where it have serious punitive measures for not being there in the child life. Because it's only when you're in the child life you can actually be an example, right?
Right, correct.
So I just went off on that. I had to give all a little sad story. You understand?
Yeah.
But so we're moving on from there.
But wait, it had something you said just now about not playing the blame game. What do you mean by that?
So when I say not playing the blame game, right? Men and women tend to say, she's the reason why I'm not with you, and he's had so, he want me, but this and that.
But what that had to do with the child?
Exactly. It's about introspection, right?
That's what I'm saying. I don't care what you break up with me for, why I break up with you for. By the end of the day, that seed is yours.
But now the child is what's call it?
Weaponized?
Yes.
Yeah.
A weaponized child are really powerful,
Yeah.
A weaponized.
It's an unfortunate thing, but
At one point, I was a weaponized child. I could see real weaponized children, and at plenty times, and I was like, "Why I hate this man for?" In terms of on a level. Then when you reach old enough, I remember my father tell me something at a young age, and he tell me, "I'm not going to tell you a bad thing about your mother. When you reach a certain age, you'll see." And then he just put a plan that seed in my head and just say. So the old time is when I reach our adult age now, I remember I come crying to my father, I say, Daddy, I sorry. You know, I used to read Bible. So like the prodigal son is like, I sorry, you do so much for me. I never think I sorry. I real ashamed thing. I real apologize. And then he was like, nah, I'm proud of you. You good, don't worry. But then I didn't, because by the time a lot of other young men now who would say, fuck daddy, for the whole of his life. Nah, he never do nothing for me, Effie. Or for the weaponization he get, because very rarely, I don't know, I could be wrong, or maybe I just watching it from an anecdotal point of view, where the man is really be like, yeah, your mother's a hoe, your mother ting, your mother, men don't really weaponize each other against the mother. I could be wrong. It's typically always the woman weaponizing each other against the man.
Typically.
I could.
They say he'll have no fury like a woman's corner.
Thank you. I could be wrong. I am willing to take correction, you single mother. So do not put me up on the books, please. But when you weaponize the child now, it's never be, men is be like, is this scene? Is your mother saying, yeah, me and mommy didn't work on and saying, I love you still. I love mommy, don't worry. So why you not with mommy? Yeah, and then it's like, you want to go Disney World? You want to go get ice cream?
Start to play Buju circumstances.
Yeah.
That's basically what play off in that whole scenario. So it's always be a kind of attack, I want to say, on masculinity at that point. You from a different age, so that probably, because you grew up, both parents too? Or?
Yeah, both parents.
Both parents.
But I think I've been able to, I'm in a fortunate position to have seen a couple of generations. So I see.
Jesus Christ, how old are you? I want to know
He's
now.
Wolverine.
Nobody man on spot.
Do you know about the American Civil War? That's how old we talking? You have adamantium clothes.
I read about it when I was young.
Right.
Nobody, I think I'm in a unique position to actually see how society has evolved. There's a question or comment when you guys made earlier on about the education system. I think you're going to head there just now. But I see much more entrepreneurial mindset. A mindset coming out of school where people want to have their own businesses, do their own thing as opposed to going and looking for someone.
Right.
Compared to when it is I was that age. And I think that's a good thing.
But is it practical?
It all depends, and this is where the conversation at some point in time is going to go, because the whole idea of having your own business is ultimately wealth creation.
Okay, I didn't ever study econ. You probably went down that econ road.
No.
You probably went down econ.
The biggest open secret amongst our society, our peers, our listeners, our viewers, is that the secret of wealth creation is ownership.
Right. And we hear this time and time.
In the
again.
absence of having your own business, you could own piece of a business. A stock. I can plan that there. We're going to talk about that after this.
Like the same thing you were talking about earlier.
So the reason I asked that now is because here's the thing. So I have a t-shirt business. I'm making my hee-haw t-shirts. I get on Patreon/he_haw. That's how to do
Just,
plug there.
just $5.
Just $5. You're bum.
Cheap
Anyway,
bastards.
You're bastards.
Yeah.
So I'm a t-shirt business. But then you saying, wait now, I'm making, let me say 100K off it, or if I'm making X. You say, wait, boy, but I'm making X on that. I gonna make jerseys now. Then you say he making money it. I gonna make jerseys now. Then everybody making jerseys because they watch it. Yeah, it's at a saturated. It become the gold rush basically. Because I've seen a lot of gold rushes going on in this generation.
But is it
you have two
saturated or
options.
competitive?
Saturated.
You have two options.
I look at it as competition.
He's out of family now.
I always up for
options.
competition.
Either ensure that you have the most superior t-shirt, or you reinvent yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You move out of it. You move away. You have your core competence as teacher, but then you start spinning off.
Yeah.
So I mean, the thing about it is that our good friend Jeff Bezos started his business in 1995, sending books online.
Yeah. I'm quite familiar with the base.
And look at where Amazon is today. He kept on reinventing himself.
Yeah.
And right now, Amazon has become important to the global economy. That's a global company, that's an American company anymore. And it had to be the fact that he kept on recognizing that the barriers to entry for that particular business kept on getting lower. So you have to keep on reinventing to ensure that you always keep the barriers as high. So anybody trying to start an Amazon in its current form and construct have a long challenge time ahead.
You figure
Big
out a
shoes.
very intelligent way of buying out the competition before they become competition.
He was a man who was very, very good at listening and looking at his environment.
All right. So, gents, before we end up in the business segment of the show,
Yeah.
because there's a whole different segment that we're going
Yeah.
to, drive into. There's one final important topic that we're going to touch on, right? And this has to do with race, all right? We are a multicultural society, but we are predominantly two races. Predominantly, all right? Some people beg to differ and say, well, the bigger race is the smallest race, or the biggest race is the smallest race. So let's not go down that road.
And two, please, God, don't say it. Yeah, one race, the human race. I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for somebody to
All
say.
lives matter.
All life there, yeah. Don't say that shit.
So,
Thank you.
in the words of a very famous, well, he's one of my favorite personalities online, Jocko Willink, right? Retired Navy SEAL, XYY. You know, he's a machine.
Certified killer.
Yeah, he's a killer. We humans like to other people. Find some common denominator to separate our group from our next group. All right? It's a built-in mechanism of war within ourselves that we just cannot deal or veer away from. You know, that's the competition aspect that I was talking about. You know, everything that has to do with being better than our next is part of the human experience. All right? I want to tie that back into, in our country, right? We see, unfortunately, we see an issue with a certain particular race, right? That seems to be, and this is just my humble opinion, right? This is no fact here. But it seems to be that particular race is either disenfranchised or disenfranchises themselves. All right? And
As in crab in the bucket.
crab in the bucket, underprivileged, the communities tend to be more run down and less, but less taken care of.
They have not thrived in 75 years of independence. How much years of independence we on? Because he was around.
60
Yeah, he was around when Nola was playing.
Yeah,
first one.
That was a cool one. That was cool. That was cool. First day of independence, he was cool. I wish I could have do that.
You take a drive into these communities versus a drive into our next community, predominantly of a different race, you would be able to tell the difference off the bat, And when we look at it on the surface, we tend to be like, oh gosh, why are they so? But they have something deeper than just looking at it from the surface. And we like to say slavery is a thing that caused us to be this. I don't believe it's slavery. Slavery gone how long now? Well, the slavery that we
Chattel slavery.
the chattel slavery, right? That disappeared so long ago. That had been abolished.
Mental slavery is still very much around. Yeah?
So mental slavery exists, but at the same time, it exists across the board, because it's a 1% of people who actually consider to be free.
The ruling class.
Right?
No,
The question I want to pose to Chris: where do you see race as a factor?
I think it's less race. And this is probably one of the most controversial questions I have ever been asked, and I'm going to answer it.
He like Indian women. I don't know. He like Indian women.
Who don't?
I actually think that the one difference between that particular group versus everybody else is the lack of structure in building societies, its own society. If you look at the other societies that we may see as relatively more progressive with regard to economic wealth, the accumulation of assets within the country and outside the country, there is always a structure.
Discipline.
We have not seen that structure in terms of the approach. And structure starts with the same thing we spoke about, the absence of nuclear families or that nuclear construct at all costs. And the lack of structure in our approach to building will ultimately lead to envy, because some people within that particular group will practice structure within their own household and they will do well. Then others, we think that they have more. It's not that they have a plan, they have a strategy. And one of the gurus who I've come across in my life said strategy is important because we don't have infinite resources. So you have to have strategy, structure, plan. They're all in.
So you're just going to say it about guru. You're not going to drop the name, nothing. We can't go to
He was a
well.
motivational speaker. He's an ex-director of mine when I used to work in another finance.
Okay.
Okay. Makes sense.
Are you any box? We could go to the. Let me go to the well and learn. We
Yeah.
want to learn too.
No, he heard it from someone. His name is Scott Hilton Clarkson. We have a lot of respect.
A
for.
local guy.
Yeah.
Scott. Big up
And
yourself.
Big up yourself, Scott, Mr.
And-
Clark.
From hearing that, understanding the importance of strategy, and taking it back to this conversation, I think there's a lack of structure in our approach to everything, to educating, wealth creation, and if we can't confront that reality, or say it's something else, we have challenges. That's the one thing that has been absent. And if you decide to take a much more structured approach, that particular group, I mean, we know exactly which group we're speaking about. From tomorrow, if you to say, listen, we need to have a different structure to how it is we build societies. And we can find ourselves being a greater contributor to our own little economies and then, of course, the larger economy. But if we don't accept and confront that, we'll be having this circular conversation in 2 decades.
Yeah, because I was a young man. I was about 19 years when I heard about a guy called William Monroe. And he created something called the Black Caucus. And at that very early age, I was wondering what causes the divide between a certain within the sector or the segment in society.
Within the certain race, what causes the
That
divide?
divide, and the divides it still exists to this day, where a certain class of this race
Don't mess with the lower class of the
cannot,
race.
not even cannot, is like oil and water.
And then the poor they say, yeah, well, it's coons, and the rich say, hey, we can bring niggas into the party.
Let me ask you another question real fast. Whether or not you like this political party or not, how come one party always seems to be around? It's because they have structure. You don't build a party around personalities as a structure, there's a hierarchy. The other parties, you have seen the circumstance where parties fall away because the personality leading the party has fallen away. You can't build structures around personality. You can't build institutions and organizations around persons. You have to build around a particular structure.
I like what you're saying there, and this is why I'm going to go off the hills now. So what you have to do, basically, this is what I imagine when you're saying. You have to put the balize by this girl head, and it's like, yes, say great is the PNM. That's what you're saying, basically?
I ain't saying that at all.
No, really,
I'm just saying,
love that balize.
look at the structure from 1956.
I understand.
Look at it and compare it to the other parties.
Well,
All the other
I would
parties.
say that for the limited view I have in terms of political parties, whatever, I would say that one ran more like a mafia, which it is supposed to, because I don't really trust in the politicians at all. But one run like a mafia and the next one run like, we get through, A few thing and use a degenerate, have nobody to pull the reins and say, hey, we can't do this so quick. We just try to slow it in.
Okay.
And I'm going to call which one for which ones.
Yeah.
But one is moved like degenerates and the next one is moved like...
What was
But
your
check
original
it out.
question?
All right, so the question was, right, we tend to order each other, right? Within the certain race.
You trying to song. Nice.
Yeah.
Black people have a tendency...
Hold on. Within
hold on.
the certain race that we was talking about, there's a big divide, right? The divide is there are the people in the race who actually have structure,
Right.
have a certain set standard, and you just actually see them performing better than the rest. Somehow they like oil and water and they can't mix.
All right, so let me throw my 2 cents on that, right? Without making it political, because I tell you straight, I don't discuss politics. Right? If that's going to be a topic, I will stay quiet for the whole topic.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Right? Now growing up, when my mom was younger, she had a condition where she had I think they call it like a hole in the heart.
Okay.
Right? So she spent most of her childhood years in a home. Right? it went as far as the doctors telling her that she wouldn't even be able to have children. Right? Not only did she more or less beat that, but she had 3 of us. Right?
Okay.
Now, because she spent most of her life in that home, she didn't have much of an education then. Right? Now, my mom is black. I'll start right there. Right? When she came out of that situation, she started working like 2-3 jobs to take care of us. Right? Now, all these is things that I witnessed growing up. She decided one day, boom, here what taking place. Let me see if I can make something of myself. I watched my mom take evening classes till she got a certain amount of O levels, then even went as far as to doing tertiary and getting degree and masters
Under all these circumstances.
under all these circumstances.
Right.
And this is
Right.
not free education time, or this is free education?
Now, yeah, around that time it was free education time with the degree and masters.
Yeah, that's
Take
what,
advantage of
right?
it, which is
Yeah.
good.
No, I'm
Right.
trying to get time frame.
Yeah.
Time frame.
So hence the reason now she started to push us in that direction, and me now watching that as an example. You know what I'm saying? I have no excuse. I can't say, well, I can't do it. I watch her defy all odds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like I say, black woman. Now, what a lot of people don't know also is I was born and raised in Laventille, right? I ain't going to say which part of Laventille because there's too much craziness going on
Yeah,
now.
it's
But I was
crazy.
born and raised in Laventille.
Yeah.
And back then, you'll hear people saying, you know, you come from Laventille, you ain't go mountain nothing,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It even had situations where I went for interviews, and because of my address, I didn't get through.
And that was a thing in the past, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, but I could have been one of those who say, you know what, all right, clearly that is not for me. Let me go on the block and, you understand?
Make
Hustle
it-
a little
make it
something,
that
something.
way.
Be
Yeah.
a victim, be a
You
victim.
understand?
Yeah.
But like I said, that wasn't the examples I had growing up.
Understood.
So those who had those examples, I can't really fight you because that's what you know. You understand what I'm saying? But it was my situation. Now, it's at times where I'll go on the block and be like with my brethren and them, and my mother will come outside and whoop my ass with a belt in front of them.
She lose it. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? We're doing, go home and pick up our book.
Right.
You understand? So, watching that now, and then watching my dad try to better himself, I was like, listen, you know what? I don't have to be defined by my environment,
Question:
right?
would you consider yourself not literate? Because I guess anybody at some point could learn to read. Would you consider yourself smart? You know, the aspect of being intelligent. Would you consider yourself that, or naturally intelligent? I should ask.
I think I'm pretty much both.
Naturally,
Book sense and street sense.
Forget about the street sense, forget everything. But in terms of a person who could observe a situation without having to be, okay, this is how this is work. Like naturally, you could just pick up things.
As in played by ear.
Yeah.
IQ,
definitely.
EQ.
IQ, EQ, that kind of thing.
Definitely, 100%.
Because
But
okay, so we
Could I finish now?
yeah.
All right.
I don't. I'm not asking that far.
Yeah.
Asking that specifically because mental capacity might be a thing across the board.
Listen,
That's what.
I had the same opportunities that anybody else will have out there. Nothing more, nothing less.
I just see.
I just say.
No. Yeah, no,
I
that's,
just
a,
see,
that's a
man.
fair point. That's
So-
a fair point to finish it. Yeah.
So, right. So back to the point I was getting to. Now, when I started at Massey, right, I started in the logistics department, right? Now, it was the only opening at the time, right? So even though I thought I was overqualified for the position, I didn't beat up. I said once I get a foot in the door, I go and work my way up.
Understood.
Right? So I got in there. I was doing the driving. I clear in port. I bring in cars up to the company. When it's time for registration, I carry in vehicles down to register to inspect. That was my portfolio at the time. Right? The manager at that time, right, wanted to make me supervisor for that department. I said, nah, there's no way I want to be. Right? She insists. She said, Richard, supervisor, and when I leave, you get in my position. I said, that is not where I want to be. Right? So she was like, where you want to be? I say, I want to be in sales. Right? Because before I was selling insurance, I wanted to be in sales. So I ain't gonna call the guy name, but there's a friend of mine, same shade, right? Same hue. And he was like, boy, you will never get through that. You ain't see the color of your skin now.
Right.
Right? And watch me, when I tell you, you couldn't convince him otherwise. Right? So I was like, I said, maybe you wouldn't get it, but I would. Right? And he was like, well, you stay hopeful now. See if they didn't disappoint you. I was like, all right, cool. That had nothing to do with you. Let me be disappointed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Understood.
And boom, they had a open day. I guess I'll call it that, right? Where they had one position to be filled, just one, right? In Nissan. I said, that is mine. They had all kind of people come to that interview. Bro, like if you walked outside, it was like a fete. You had people who were selling pens, stationery. You had people who were selling insurance. You had people from other car companies. It was anybody who had anything to do with sales was there that day.
So it's a coveted position.
You feel me? So I went upstairs to where the interview is being taken place, and I started looking around, right? I was like, all right, you have on a plaid shirt and a jeans. You have a nice shirt and pants, but no tie. I went back downstairs. I said, bro, you have any ties in your drawer? He was like, I have a few. He pulled the drawer out and watch. I said, all right, this will match my shirt. Boom, I went back upstairs again. This was me for pretty much 15 to 20 minutes, sir.
Right.
I scope out the scene. I said, all right, Rich, what you could do to stand out? That's how I thinking. I was like, what kind of questions you think they're going to ask? Obviously, it might be about cars. It might be about sales. So I started to run scenarios through my head. When it was my turn and my name called, bro, I kid you not, my answers was eliminating future questions, right? So it was like my interview finished before time, to the point where the sales manager who was interviewing me and the head of HR started to look at each other and I was like, you have anything else to ask him? You know? And he was like, nah, I good. You have anything else? And then they turned to me, it was like, you have anything else to ask us? And I was like, yeah, like, when do I start? And I dead serious.
Strategy.
When do I start? Because in my head, that's done my position. You can't convince me otherwise. Right?
So you come in with the...
I came here with purpose.
This what you... No, but you want... So you like sales as opposed to you was doing it. Was this money the motivation or you just like that...
Right. So I love that question because now I'm self-motivated and I will use anything to motivate me. So one, I'm a people person. That's motivation. Two, I like nice things. Nice things cost money. That is a motivation. Right? And I like sales. Sales is a good way to make the money. So everything kind of tie in.
Makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, and then again, like I say, I came from very humble beginnings. I want to break that cycle. My children must get a good start.
Makes sense.
You feel me? So, boom. They narrowed it down to 10 people. Right? I being the number one choice. Mind you, the person from HR told me that. She said, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but you came in with flying colors, right? Now, this is where things go and take a turn. We had a next interview where they narrowed it down to 3 people, right? I being number one again. Boom. They came and hired an Indian guy. A light-skinned Indian guy with hazel eyes.
Oh,
Bollywood,
right?
Bollywood.
So, but here the killer part, right? So, of course, when I went back to my department, you know my boy ready to tear him open a new one, right? So he was like, you see what I tell you? So I started to laugh. I was like, calm down. It ain't over.
Yeah.
Right? But what you talking about? And he real hype. I was like, bro, it ain't over. Calm down. Right? First month, homeboy and sell nothing. Second month, nothing. Third month, 1 sale. Fourth month, no show.
Yeah. Pressure.
The man fired himself and tell nobody nothing. Just never came back. Right? Lo and behold, phone call, boom. You're starting next week. Try like that.
and you like a few hundred yards away from the car itself. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, he right there. Hey.
Yeah.
Okay.
They say, you can start next week. I say, I can start now. You understand? So, boom. In the space of the week now, I take to social media.
Right.
Right?
Of course.
Now, all that time I rock in Facebook. And then I know Instagram, I say, I rock in Facebook. right? But I had a few followers on Facebook called, I used to do my little modeling and thing, I do band launches, so I was kind of known, right? So I started put up status one time. I said, letting everybody know, your boy getting into car sales, I selling Nissan, anybody looking for a best deal on a ride, holler at your boy, right?
Strategy, yeah.
I start one time. So in that little week, that's all I was doing. I was just pumping. I had people calling me ready. I didn't have my diary with names, numbers, everybody who interested in a car. First month, quota is 6. Your boy hits exact 6. Boom. The man upstairs come downstairs. He said, let me tell you something. He said, in the history of Massey, since I work in here, nobody ever sold anything in the first month.
Really?
You come and hit quota. Yeah. He said, if you could do that again, I said, just getting started, step aside. Right? Second month, I hit them 7. Sales manager come. He said, I like what you're doing, He said, if you hit me 10 in the third month, I get you $1,000 out of my own pocket. I say, pay it in an envelope.
Challenge.
I tell him one time, pay it in an envelope, leave it in your drawer. He started to laugh. My face serious sauce.
Yeah.
You understand?
Don't threaten you with a good time.
Dog, watch me. Next month, exact 10. I kid you not. I fight again that 10th one just to prove a point. Yeah. Exact 10. I swing and I just put my hands out. He had mates, he started to laugh. I say, what are you doing later? This was a Friday. I say, what are you doing later? Him nothing. I said, I go and get some drinks. Right?
Nothing wrong with that.
Me and the man, we lie, we talk, watch me. We get good like that. His name was Richard also. We get good like that. And bro, watch me. From that, it was upward movement. 15 cars, 17 cars, 20 cars. I started to see what he mean, if you know what to do with.
Yeah.
I started hop on plane like if it's Maxi Rima and go Rima just to shop, just a party, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So back then it was what?
What was the time you say back then? What time frame we talking about then?
Pre-COVID.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
The
good old days.
Good old days, boy.
You know? And then boom, COVID come and hit. Now, this one kind of tied back in to, the alpha male and how women will respond to a real man.
Yeah.
Right? Now, boom, now you don't know with sales, you don't sell, you don't make money, right? All right, so COVID lockdown. Bam, bam, bam. Nobody can sell ish. So now I had to be dipping in my savings. I don't like that. I like seeing my account looking a certain way. Me want to touch that. And, like I said, I wasn't as committed as now. I was a little whoring, And the ladies that I was messing with, because of how I treat them, because of how I move, I never once had to worry about rent. I never once had to worry about food.
I was
cock tax. It's called a cock tax.
He's well taken care of, right?
What else with you? Yeah.
I talking about people more or less competing to handle me.
Of course.
You understand? When you rent due, you get sort out already, ting. I pass it and check here.
And let this be an example to the young men and them who listening. Listen. No, I'm not trying to glorify this type of living. Right? Because it could get very strenuous at times, right? But what I'm saying is that you really have, the option is really yours. Back to what you were saying to Chris. The option is really yours to take control and live the life you want to live. You don't really have to wait for somebody to tell you, you could do this, you could do that. So grab the bull by the horn, pause, right? And go forward with that strategic mentality that whatever you want, you can achieve, right?
Facts.
So that's just the little message to the youth.
Well, it come back to the same point that you was making earlier now, right? Where the people that I rubbing shoulders with are the people who live in the neighborhoods that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Like some of my best friends are actually from those said neighborhoods. And maybe at a point in time, those same people would be like, probably would not even see me. You feel me?
I understand what you're saying.
But I wasn't in that mental slavery. I know that, hey, you know what? This is going to be my circle. They're the people I want to rub shoulders with because you can't want to fly with eagles and clock with chickens. You feel me?
Right on. Right on.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into another lane now, right? This lane is really about the wealth creation that we wanted to talk to for a long time, right?
Yeah, Chris
This is the crux of the interview. Wealth creation could come in many different ways. As Richard was alluding to, it could be the best at what you think is a proper place in an organization for yourself and make a good living for yourself like that. It could also be an entrepreneur, right? Both ways come with the drawbacks and the what is called it, the benefits, benefits and the drawbacks, right?
Pros and cons.
Pros and cons, challenges, pluses, right? When we get into business creation and what that exactly means to be an entrepreneur in this country, because we was alluding to saturation, we was alluding to creating something out of the box, we was alluding to strategic management of your lifestyle and whatnot, right? Competition, business in itself.
What?
Somebody comment and say, plus you have an eagle nose.
Yeah,
Is that?
you remember you say eagles are chickens? You say?
Good
Nah, to make me crack up the eagle eye.
Yeah. You're right. So, Chris, you lead the way. Use the finance bro. Right? Go through with it.
You're talking with your t-shirt business just now.
Yeah, Patreon.com/he_. He underscore. I think it's $3 here bombs. Anyway.
Yeah.
Without ever having spoken to you, you look at how many t-shirts you sold last month versus this month, last year versus this year, correct?
Well, no, it's this year, but yeah.
Okay, but month over month.
Yeah.
You look to see exactly how much it costs, the expenses. You look to see how much money you keep. Because the most important part of running your own business is not how much money you make, is how much you keep. Also known as profit. You can do two things with your profits in your business. You can spend it, you can invest it somewhere, or you can reinvest it into your own business. Yeah?
Yeah.
So you're looking at your top line revenue, yeah? How much money you're making, how you're spending.
Hey, them is big concepts. Break top line. What's
So
that?
you
What's
don't
this
know-
top line
so
revenue
you-
thing?
How much
I
t-shirts
know.
you're selling.
All right.
So you know how much t-shirts you're selling. What's it cost to produce it? What's your markup? We have to hire to help with the printing and the sourcing,
Right.
the expenses. And where's your profit? And what you do with that profit? What I just described there was financial analysis. When you look, and this message is for two audiences: the entrepreneurial audience who wants to do their own thing, and those who may not want to do their own thing, but they don't mind investing in a business. Investing in a business is buying a stock. The same thing that you have to do when you're assessing your company in terms of what it is, how much money the company is making, how much t-shirts you're selling, what's the cost of those t-shirts, how much money you invest, you take, how much of that money you're taking to buy more stock. It's the same thing. You might hear different concepts. You might hear a company talk about top-line revenues, expenses, shareholder retained earnings, net profit before tax, net profit after tax. I just think that is exactly what you are doing right now without realizing. It's just that there are different terms for it when you talk about financial analysis as opposed to your business. Same exact concepts. How much t-shirts you sell? Top-line revenues. Expense, the cost of t-shirts, cost of goods sold. Total expenses, how much money you have to spend outside of the raw materials to purchase the t-shirts. Net profit after tax, how much money you make. Retained earnings, how much money you put back into your business to do more with it. And then at the end of the day, you want to see if your company is growing. And if your company is growing, when you minus your debts versus your assets, you have something called your equity, your shareholder equity. That is really where where you can actually see if you're making money in your business. Shareholder equity is ultimately, that's what they call shares and stocks. Equities is really about the growth of equities. So I'm saying that to say that in the absence of owning your own business as you do, own piece of a business, but employing the same principles when you look at a company.
Look what's happening every night, right? What's happening every night?
She just knows.
She just say, podcast going on, boy. Let me start back. Let me just ruin this moment here.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Blanca doing her
God, boy.
regular routine.
At no point, she's been normal all day.
We have our hour again.
Yeah, Jesus.
She just do that, boy.
We get our
Where
feedback.
that feedback come from?
Oh, headphones.
The headphones.
Headphones.
My bad. Sorry, everybody. All right, so you was talking about equity. Right. So we reach into the point of. Let me start it from the basics.
And that goes back.
What
So
the-
I want to tie it back now to the conversation we're having about how societies, the different societies within our society how they are structured. All right. I can tell you that not enough of black persons between the age of let's say 21 to maybe 45 have investments and wealth creation mechanisms.
So you mean Jordans is not investment? Why don't why? I love our GS, why?
Interested you bring up Jordans.
No, I have to.
And Jordan is making money.
Thank you.
How much but he has been endorsed. Jordan is Jordan. He
Fellas.
gets royalties forever and ever and ever. That's a different ball game altogether.
No, but I am a 2Js and say a little gold chain. You know, I went by Antons.
But you're not Jordan.
I could play.
In addition to the
play.
Jordans, right? We're looking at our next serious asset now. Well, let's call it asset, right? The gold chains.
Blockchain. Cryptocurrencies.
Every young boy, the brother,
No, he talking about gold chains.
Get
Not-
on
the gold chains.
Blockchain is
No, blockchain.
It's
No,
like
I didn't hear
concept.
gold.
Gold.
Gold chains. Everybody on the block have a chain on, right? Usually gold was originally bought as a form of wealth storage, right? So I really know for a fact that I come from the ghetto as well, right? So I understand that they don't understand what gold really is, the meaning of gold.
Other than how to look.
Other
like,
than to
you know.
flash, to attract the butterflies.
Can't realize. Money men, you realize no, these two
Gold-
money men don't have no chains on. I just put it now on.
Gold,
Put it now there.
gold in the investment world is what is referred to as a safe haven asset. However, how that gold is represented as an investment is an entirely different conversation with respect to it, as we see as the tradable commodity as opposed to what we wearing around our necks.
Yes. Yeah.
If you want to convert your gold into liquidity for some reason or the other, or into another asset, like into cash, how quickly can you sell that gold chain legitimately without finding yourself looking over your back?
Because men will rob it for the gold.
If-
Because there's a lot of gold we talking about.
There you go. So I can tell you there's a high probability if it is you had gold bars in the gold commodity form in your house, people would probably leave it back.
Yeah.
But you go and you put that on a stock exchange, you get it sold in a matter of seconds.
In
So people may want to say gold is an investment. It's only an investment when you could actually convert it to cash. The liquidity.
yeah. Yeah.
All right. And that's a very, very important part of when you want to ask yourself, is this an investment? Can you establish what they call relative value? Can you say, okay, $5 in this particular asset is worth the transferability, being able to establish. I know that this remote here costs maybe about, let's say, $70. I know that this glass may cost $50. You can sell this glass. You can sell this glass, put it
You
into
can sell
cash,
this remote.
and buy something else.
Yeah.
How quickly you can do that? The liquidity of investments and those things are very, very important. So, let's talk about the buzzword of the day, cryptocurrencies.
Of course.
Cryptocurrencies is a highly speculative investment, aka high risk. And a big part of the challenge I personally have with cryptocurrencies is how liquid is it in terms of being able to convert it. If you need to liquidate your cryptocurrencies tomorrow, there's a different mechanism that you have to go through that is non-traditional.
Blockchains, etc.
Right.
Blockchain. And,
Yeah. And if you look at the price of cryptocurrencies since they emerged a few years ago, highly volatile. Now, don't get me wrong, huh? Everything is not for everybody. Cryptocurrencies and for me might be for you, but I just tell you to think about things like the volatility,
Remember?
being able to convert into cash quickly, into what they call something fungible. Fungible means you could actually, okay, I can take 10 of these bottles, get cash, buy 5 of these glasses. You know, that transferability aspect of it, being able to establish.
We're getting real valuable
Information.
here, right? But I want us to break it down a little bit lower because
Okay.
because
It has some.
we're going back to
Low
the
brow.
point that you was alluding to, right?
Yeah.
Where the structure of the business in the black community that it is non-existent, right? So walk a young man who never went to tertiary education
Layman's terms.
right? True. He wake up tomorrow morning and say, I want to make a change,
Okay.
right? I want to start do business. I want to be an entrepreneur.
He has to ask himself exactly what does making a change mean? Do you want to establish a business and do you want this business to grow? Or you want to find a way to make money within 6 months, 6 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is? What is your objective in getting into business? Do you want this business to be your business to sustain yourself and your family and your quality of life down the road? Are you prepared to invest in this business today to see it grow tomorrow? Or you want something to happen now for now?
And usually that's where the question becomes very technical, because clarity of mind will tell you, I need a strategy. I need to make money today, next week, next month, next year. How are we going to do all four?
And not just that, let the money work for you too.
And let the money start working for you. Right? We have a lot of intelligent, because I have some brethren I grew up with, very intellectually gifted without knowing that they're smart. So they will pick up a block of weed and turn that into a Honda Accord and then sell the Honda Accord to whatever the case is and keep billing until they get locked up. You understand what I'm saying here, right? So they have the bare bones ability to create a business without, as you said, the structure. So that clarity of thought, I can't ask you where it comes from, but I could ask you, in what way could you structure your thinking to start from nothing, absolutely zilch? Tomorrow morning, you have nothing as a youth man out there, you're very hungry. To, let me say, 2, 3, 5 years from now, being able to actually have some assets to trade.
Identify something that you like or you love.
Boom.
First of all, you see how Richard is talking about how he loves sales? He could be sitting down, chilling out, and bam, some sales idea, some new strategy will pop into his head because it's in his DNA. He lives sales. You can hear the passion that he has for it when he speaks about every aspect of sales the last few minutes. Find something that you're passionate about. Find something and the second thing is to make sure there is demand for that thing you're passionate about. You may like car phones, but car phones are obsolete. What is a car phone, right?
What's that?
Before cell phones, there were car phones. There were phones.
Jesus.
There were
MC
phones.
Hammer.
Yeah.
That's when you had to put your foot at the bottom of the car to run and for it to move. It's like a Flintstone thing you're talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're
You see
talking
that?
about.
Let me tell you what era we talking about. You see that era when LL Cool J and Run DMC and them fellas.
Jesus.
Car phones was the thing, and car phones became immediately obsolete with the advent of a cell phone.
These fellas even know how to use rotary phone and all.
No. I'm
So you have to make sure whatever it is you're passionate about, there's demand for it.
Right.
And again, you have to do some market studies. And your market studies is talking to your friends and your family. You know, if I was to bring anything, these bottles here, is there demand for it? Will you buy this on a weekly basis? What is the advantage? Why you think you'll want to buy this from me? That's market studies.
Right.
All right, you have to understand, you have to ensure. Singapore, back in the days when they were trying to develop their economy, they actually went out into the world to find where the goods and services were lacking globally, and they came back to Singapore shores and started to build industries to satisfy a demand that they knew existed. All right?
Makes sense.
So if you have your t-shirt business or you have your bottled water business, you have to go out and find out exactly if there's demand for this thing.
Where
you
you
might
can
be
sell it.
passionate about something that nobody else is passionate about, that nobody else wants. So there's a certain amount of work that is required, and it's not to make it sound daunting or prohibitive or anything like that. It's really just for you to understand that there is a certain amount of work you have to put in. There are many businessmen, to your point, guys very, very intelligent. They just don't know how to structure their thoughts.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the education system, there's room for
Structured.
improvement. Yeah.
Structured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that in their courses now where you can actually understand and teach an entrepreneurship. And these basic concepts, and if we can get that education to them in a very inexpensive way, podcasts like this, seminars and those things, those fellas can easily unearth a lot of creativity and a lot of business sense and ideas that they didn't even believe they could be able to achieve.
So, gentlemen, we're talking business. Talking success. We going. Usually. All right, good. One last thing before we really get into it. We want to deal with the topic of failure. Right? Failure is a mandatory part of life. Right? In business, you're bound to fail.
I can tell you about that.
Right.
Oh,
So, we're going to get your final words on failure. Ways to bounce back. How that does make you stronger as an individual. You shoot.
All right. I'll give you an example. So there was a point in my life where I was selling insurance for Clico.
wow.
All right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was selling insurance for Clico. And now, you're watching certain insurance men around you, and them fellas doing it wet, who driving Benz, who living in big houses on the hills.
Yeah.
And it's like even back then, I saw that life for myself. Like, I want that. Like, I believe God put me on this earth to live like a king, you know what I'm saying?
Understood.
Like, that's my mindset even now.
Yeah.
And so, like, when I started insurance, I was one of those who pong in the pavement. Ponging. And I remember this one time, now Qualifier had something called the EFPA. I don't know if you remember that, right? Where it mirrors the characteristic of a fixed deposit, right? So it's like you could invest as much as you wanted, have no ceiling, right? And your money was 100% guaranteed, right? Now, I remember picking up this magazine called Who's Who in Trinidad and Tobago Business, right? And if you know that magazine, they have one every year. Right? That's where you get to see who's who. Who's the top person in UTC? Who's the top person? You know what I'm saying?
Trinidad Forbes.
Yeah.
Right.
So when everybody just running around like headless chickens, I used to be like, you know what? Nah, I going straight to the top. So I'm going through these magazines, and I ain't gonna lie to tell you, I was looking to see who's black first. I say, you know what? Let me approach who's black first. And I saw this lady, right, who was the top person in UTC. And I said, you know what? I going to organize a meeting with this lady. So your boy pull up in UTC, put on my suit and take best suit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That time I had not travel to get there.
Yikes.
Right? So I pull up downstairs. I tell the security, I say I came to so, call her name. Right? He was like, is she expecting you? He said, yeah, just tell her Richard is downstairs. Now, in my mind, everybody know Richard. Right? Yeah, the fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah.
So I was like,
And they usually name Crystal as well. Crystal friend. I say Crystal friend downstairs.
I said, tell her Richard downstairs. So he calls her up and he was like, Richard here to you. And I'm hearing her the next time, send him up. Right? So I was like, yeah, no. I know when she see me, she be like, okay, you're not the Richard. But once I see you, that's all I needed. I just needed that face to face.
Right. Right.
So, boom. Yeah, I get security clearance. I had a swipey card for the elevator to go that high, all kind of thing.
She's just so what?
So, yeah. Top dog, I tell you. So, when the boy walk inside now, I walk inside real confident.
Yeah.
I ain't flinch at all. Game face on, I ready. Right? So, she pull up. She starts to slow down. The eyebrows started dip like, okay.
And you know that woman and
I don't know.
So,
who is that man?
now, thank God for blessing me with a little good looking face, So, upon the pleasant smile, I say, I'm not the Richard I was expecting, but I was really hoping to get 5 minutes at a time. I say, if I don't interest you in what I have to say, I'll take the elevator, leave, and never see me again. Right? So she was like, what is it you do? I say, well, I work Clico, and I sell insurance. She paused, she thinks, she was like, all right, come sit with me. So we walk across and we sit down. Now, listen, this lady, she's at the top of the building. You had the best view in Port of Spain. Listen, I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn. So I start to run the EFPA to her because I know with UTC, I think they have rules and regulations in terms of investments and ceilings.
Okay.
Right? So, as far as I know, based on my research, they had like over $100 million to invest and not anywhere to invest it because of these ceilings. So, I went with that angle. So, like, listen, we have the EFPA.
Love it.
I was like, we have the EFPA, right? Your money's 100% guaranteed. The returns are crazy. And guess what? There's no ceiling.
Right.
Right? So after the conversation, she was like, you know what, I think this might be something we'd be interested in. She said, let me take it up with the board and I'll get back to you. So I left my card with her and everything. So mind you, we exchanged numbers and all that. So I went back to the office now and I told my then manager, who's, I ain't gonna call his name, but he's well known. Like if I call his name, everybody know him.
Nah,
right? He big in the dance. So I went back to him. I was like, boss, you believe who I just came from having a meeting with? And he was like, who's that? So I called her name, right? He was like, you lie. I was like, yeah, him. How you get upstairs to see her? He said, I've been trying to see her for years.
Shit.
Right? So I told him what I did. He shook my hand. He said, I never told her that. Right? Yeah, I'm sure she probably know what. So too.
Yeah.
You know? So, boom, she hit me up. She told me that the board would be having the meeting the Monday, but so far what she pitched to them, they're liking it and they're willing to do the 100 million because of the guarantee. Because if push come to shove and I don't hit, you getting back your 100 million.
Yeah.
Sit down, don't lose.
You feel me? You have nothing to lose.
Don't lose.
So she hits me up and she was like, okay, we have a meeting Monday. Once they agree, I'm going to call you, bring everything for us to sign up.
And
Now-
you'll be the ultimate agent of all time.
Listen, mind
So the
you,
weekend you in the stars.
this thing have a commission of 1% every single year it's active.
For 100 million.
$1 million a year once it's active, bro.
Holy shit.
Right?
Gee.
So, you know your boy going, why? I ain't get you yet, eh?
Yeah,
I go on,
counting
I
the
go on,
chickens.
I was even working Marcia, so of course, but I got up in Marcia, I started to check the Subaru WRX, right?
You're the super for me.
Listen, I go on all up in, I think it was Sunshine up in Trin City. I want to find out if there are property there. I want a house inside the gated community. You understand? Watch me, your boy done start to map out everything I gonna do with my money.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Now, mind you, I got this call the Tuesday, right? That we're supposed to meet the next Monday. That same week, bro, Clico crash. That same week, I'm talking about like the
January 2009.
Thursday, right? Don't do the math Sunday,
Listen,
nah, don't do the math
He's
Sunday.
a financial guy.
Yeah, he knows
Right?
exactly
It's
what
engraved
else
in
is
his
going on.
Last week of January 2009.
Hey. So anyway, so boom, you know, when that happened now, I was like, you know, I went to boss, I was like, what does this mean to us? You know, like what is happening? Because I still confused as to what's going on because we just get a word that boom, boom, boom. So, I mean, I in a state of panic. I was like, what's happening? He was like, calm down, but it's not good, right? I was like, yo, now I done seeing everything crumbling in front of me, bro, crumbling.
yeah.
I already starting to go down in a state of depression. I kid you not, right? So, lo and behold, like literally 5 minutes after my phone rings, right? My same friend called me from UTC. She was like, I'm just letting you know that we're going to play the waiting game for now.
Yeah, well, of course.
Right?
The strategic.
So, yeah, so I say, you know what? That's completely understandable, right? Because I am all trying to figure out what's happening right now, right?
At least she called you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? No, I tell you, we build a good relationship. 'Cause that is me. Once you have a face-to-face with me and his friend,
Yeah.
Right?
I like it.
so,
Right.
boom,
Picasso.
that came and happened, and I kid you not, I did go down the rabbit hole of depression, right? So I was locked in my room for almost 2 weeks, crying like a bitch.
Yeah, that $1 million.
You know, nice about that because men be crying forever.
Listen.
For something you just say 2 weeks is not a long time.
Bro,
2 weeks is a decent time
but
to grieve.
it was long for me.
2 weeks
you
is
know?
a decent time.
Because I consider myself, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, manly man, you know?
The
But-
mammoth killed you instead of you killing the mammoth.
Listen, when I finally came out my room, bro, I talking about facial hair,
Yeah.
afro.
You
Dog,
look
I
like
tell you,
Saddam. You look like Saddam. In the
it was,
army.
yeah. I didn't even recognize myself.
Better record.
Like, I remember my parents used to be knocking at the door and I was like, especially on a Saturday because my parents were Adventists.
Okay.
Right? And they'd be like, come go to church. And honestly, I didn't even want to hear about God. I kid you not.
depression.
I didn't even want to hear about God because in my mind, you set me up to fail. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? It's like, why you bring me so close to it? You know what I mean? It was right there within my reach, and then they just take it away.
That's tough, boy.
You know?
No, but that's a big wheel. If you had to close a wheel, that is a wheel.
But I'm saying,
Jesus,
so
Jonah. Yeah.
no lie, you could even talk to me about church. You can talk to me about God.
Forget
I
that.
felt, now I was never blasphemous, but I felt almost like an atheist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
This can't be happening to me.
Yeah, it's like you could tell me actually have a God out there that love me and doing stuff like this. It's almost like when Bruce Almighty say, you know, God is like that child with the magnifying glass on the anthill.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I didn't go to church for a while. And I literally started to see my life crumble piece by piece. Like I was broken. When I tell you broken, bro, and I mean physically, emotionally, financially, I was broken.
That was Moby Dick, boy.
I was rock bottom horse. I was below dirt level. I was rock bottom.
Understand.
And, you know, like, I didn't want to be around people. And I think, now, the man who pulled me out of it, funny enough, was my dad, right? So, my dad gangstered me. He gangstered me. Bossy in my room a day. They had crusade. Bossy in my room a day. And he say, hey, what happening? Go and organize yourself. We're going to church. I say, well, me don't hear nothing about no church, you know. He started asking me again, and he walked out the room.
Right.
Now, I don't know what I mean.
That's
You're
a
too
fact.
big to get some right hand, you
That's
know what I'm saying?
That's our father.
So, I went and I shave on thing, you know, going up in church, sit on the back, I ain't walking in the front, I sit on the back. And it was one of those days where you just pick the right day and time to go and hear the word of God now, boy. Because the pastor sermon was tailor-fitted for your boy. From start to finish, everything I needed to hear, bro. I kid you not. And I was like, okay, yeah, I was supposed to be here right now, you know? And then I was like, all right, I will trust you one more time, you know? So, now mind you, my qualifications go beyond business. I did offshore courses. I could have gone any which way I wanted to go. So I started to consider doing the offshore thing. I sent out resumes here, resumes there. And funny enough, now this might sound crazy, but so normally when I'm going up Chancellor, right, there's a certain part of the hill where I don't get reception, right? Now, I'm into working out, I'm into exercising, right? But there's a certain part of the hill where I don't get reception on my phone, right? Like a dead zone. And I ran up the hill with a couple of my brethren, and at that same point where my phone normally goes dead, my phone started to ring. So it was so crazy. My boys and all turned to me and I was like, you getting reception? You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah. So I answered the phone, and it was a guy from Massimoto's. I never sent a resume to Massimoto's, right? So the guy calls me up and he's like, is this Richard? I was like, yeah. He was like, we have a position available. I'm hoping you can start tomorrow. So I'm like, brr? I say, sure you had the right, Richard?
Busy logistics.
Yeah. Right? Wait. So I'm like, you sure, boy? He was like, yeah. So I was like, all right, cool. So he said, when you come in tomorrow, bring your resume. I'm like, this is crazy, boy. I say, sure you had the right, Richard? And he said, this is 754-8474. I was like, yeah.
You make sure I put that number to sell them cars. You gotta sell cars. Yeah, I saw.
See what I did there?
See what I did there.
So, but,
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I want.
right. So, all right, long story short, I got the job, put in my resume, and of course, once they had the resume on file, that is where, they was kind of pushing me for like managerial, whatever. But like I say, foot in the door, I inside,
Taking that.
anything could happen, right? Me going and say, boy, drive. Let me see my resume or drive.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So, and all these things is what I learned from my dad more or less. You
Right.
understand? Because he was a real humble fella. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of, pushed me to where I am now. So like if I was one of those who say, well, all right, I go and let this failure define me. It would not be like this. But then if you say, well, all right, I did this, I failed, how about I go back to the drawing board and come up with a new blueprint?
But
Tell me.
I mean, if you had a half failure, the 100 million shot, bro.
I mean,
that's a good way to fail, though.
Bro.
You know, here's a
Menace give up after they fail at CXC.
But you know what I learned, though? I think if that deal had pan out,
Jesus Christ, you couldn't talk to you, though.
I probably couldn't even talk to me.
God has protect you from yourself.
Yeah.
God protects you
And
from yourself.
that is what I realized. He was protecting me from myself. Because even when I wasn't working, even when I didn't have money, I was real lawless. Especially when it comes to women. That was my kryptonite. You know what I'm saying? That was my kryptonite. Like, my neighbors, when I used to live in my last neighborhood, used to literally sit down in the front just to take me in. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Like, I used to have them on a time schedule. You come for 7, be out by 9. If you stay here anytime after 9, you're going to bounce. Somebody want to come in after.
Casanova, boy.
No lie.
Yeah.
Don't want.
And I didn't even have no money back then.
A Lord Byron, boy.
You understand what I'm saying? I had a neighbor who was like, they used to sit down, I swear to God. They sit down chilling, and they'd be like, look the next one coming. And it's like, I will be now walking out one, kiss she good night. Later, she driving out and driving past the one who coming in.
Jesus Christ. Unhinged. That was
No, I'm telling you.
unhinged.
So I truly believe that God was protecting me from myself. And it made me into the man I am today. So, you know, like I have a stable girlfriend now, never even consider cheating. You know what I'm saying? No, true story. True story. Because
This is when I said I interrupt now. Like,
this is actually the very first female I ever posted on social media in my life. In my life. I would have never considered when I come here when nobody know I had a girl.
Stages.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Stages in
saying.
life. Yeah.
Now, I ain't gonna lie. Since I started posting, there's more girls in my DMs.
Don't say it out loud.
No. I just tell her. I just show her.
Cool.
We have no secrets. And, I mean, communication.
Girls like guys with girls.
Who's gears?
That's just
All right, so gents, final words, Chris. Right, we're looking to wrap up.
we come to the 120. We come to
Yeah.
Failure, to answer your question, about a week ago I saw something that Denzel Washington had
Denzel.
that came up on social media feed. He was given an address, the feature address, a graduating university class generation some years ago. And he said 2 things about failure. If you have to fail big. And if you have to fail forward, not fail backward. If you have to fall forward and not fall backward.
I like that.
And I think failing big is understanding in magnitude and trying to get as many lessons as possible. If you have one big failure, there's more than one lesson that will come out of that. Failing forward is understanding that you're moving forward. And I can tell you, I mean, I don't broadcast it. I mean, people close to me have failed many times. The key thing, though, is really how you respond to it. One of the mistakes I think people make, companies, individuals, young people, is that one of the biggest enemies you can have is success.
Yeah, that's bars, boy. Nah. Yeah, that's a serious one. That is a serious
Say it
one.
one more time.
In
for those in the back.
one of my previous roles, I was doing consultancy for a company. When I assessed the company made all of its mistakes when it was making the most money. They lost their competitive edge. They became complacent. They became arrogant. They weren't paying attention to managing their expenses. They were buying certain things because they were getting a lot of credit. And when the environment changed, it just uncovered all of the mistakes they were making. There's a saying, when it is the tide go out, you see who's swimming naked.
Yeah.
That was that classic case of that particular company. Taking it back to individuals, good times do not build character. It's the bad times.
Facts.
Is it
Hey, wisdom.
Petrogen? It was Petrogen as a company. Okay.
That's wisdom.
I don't know.
There are a number of companies in Trinidad and Tobago that have experienced challenges that don't make headlines. I mean, there's a stance here, Petra thing, but the thing that really stood out for me in this, to answer the question of failure in particular, is understanding that when you make the mistakes, when you're happiest is when you're most vulnerable. And you have to be you have to always keep aware of how happy you are and how vulnerable you are at the same time. When you're catching your tail, you're thinking of managing yourself. You're thinking of how is the best way to make that dollar stretch. You're being efficient with your thinking.
True.
You're managing yourself. That's the bad times. The bad times teach you how to appreciate the good times. If you're having good times all the time, I mean, that's not life. All right? Having good times every day, that is not life. And it's very important as final words, that thing they call good times don't build character. Understand and accept the failures as lessons. I pray, so I thank God for my lessons and blessings. The lessons are the failures, the blessings are the...
When this mixtape coming out, boy? Yeah.
Those are some...
These old guys, boy.
Those are the... That's what I'll say on failure.
Words of wisdom. Words of wisdom. Toolman, final words.
What is that?
What do you call him?
Toolman.
That's my name.
Yeah.
That's my name. I don't want to tell it.
Toolmeezy.
Tim the Toolman, see that?
That's our reason, man. Let's not go down those roads. You say no mothers. Anyway. Now, this was eye-opening. All I will say is, we literally sit down here with two money men. One with like the most incredible failure story I've ever heard. Because I no longer, if I fail at anything, I was like, dog, it wasn't about no $100 million. So shut the hell up and get up. And you just recover in two weeks. That's like, whoop, whoop. Yeah. Your father's like, Sabina, bitch. Get here before we go in church. And you know you...
Mine took longer. Mine took like about 5 years. Yeah.
Understand.
But
5 years uncounted.
And you know you so could surgically tell like the financial situation. You just told the stories like, well, you time map it. I was like, impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
No, but it's public knowledge.
Yeah, no, but I mean, he...
No, and he said 2009.
The first weekend, I was like...
Yeah.
So that was impressive.
Those things stick in.
You see,
Because I work in the financial system all of my life.
Yeah.
Events like that will stick in your head and you try to also understand what mistakes were made. I mean, not for this particular audience, but there's so many different things that came out that we have to learn from to ensure that never repeats itself.
So final words is, we gonna get you have a girlfriend, so you can't be crap, you spoil it. You shall have see you're single. What I wanted to do was get like a nice little 1924 looking for a money man kind of thing. We want to
Hold on.
They play The Bachelor.
I'm not a money man, I work at money. There's a difference.
That's when you know you have money. That's when you know you have money. He talk like white people. He talk like the white people. Anyway, yeah. So tonight was fun, guys.
It was a vibe.
It was a vibe. I learned a lot. Buzz?
All right, final words. Adversity makes men, prosperity makes monsters. Do with that as you will. All right. Later.
Hee-haw.